That's a good drummer, man. So damn good.
All right. Any chance to get some of that stuff up there? Welcome everybody to another episode of Takedown Notice. My name is Giuseppe, and I'm here with my buddy Ike. How are you, Ike?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
It's been a while. So
yeah, it's been a while since we've seen each other in person, that's for sure.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 years, right? Is that correct?
That sounds about right. So not terribly long. I've gone a lot longer with some other friends. I have the benefit of you coming out here and playing that one time, so that was good.
Yeah, totally.
So today we will talk about buddy bands and, bands that our friends are in and stuff. And I feel like, especially you, but me as well, but just been playing in bands for so long. So many buddies, so many bands. Well, we could just make this a weekly thing and probably go on for a year or more and still have stuff to talk about, I would think.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it last night. Whatever. Before going to bed, thinking about about talking with you, and like the majority of my friends, whether I like it or not, are music people. Are playing bands. With like even in town here, with the exception of one really, real tight, my tight bro Steve, a couple friends. I mean, they're just all ensconced in the music scene in one way, shape, or form, and
yeah. I
don't know. I think finding your community, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like you sort of find your lane, and that's that. So
for sure. Interesting for me. I mean, it's similar, but I started doing technology, so now I have two lanes. Technology friends, rock friends. Let me ask you, just chit-chatting here. Have you moved around much, or you've been primarily Kalamazoo and then some North Dakota stuff?
Yeah, I've lived in North Dakota, in 2 different towns in North Dakota and Kalamazoo, and then I lived in Norway for a little bit.
Oh, nice.
In between North Dakota and Kalamazoo.
That's people do, people in North Dakota are like, I'm going to go to Kalamazoo, but first I'm going to go to Norway.
That's the purgatory I had to go to. He was like, oh, here, go to the most efficient country on the planet for a while. And
yeah, right.
So yeah, not really just like yourself, travel on tour and things like that. And but not lived in too many different areas. I think in Kalamazoo here with music stuff, I mean, I've got, plenty to say about that, but it feels like where you kind of align yourself with one thing or another. Like there are people here who are really, really close with Grand Rapids. There are people here who are just Kalamazoo. There are people here who go to Detroit mostly. And I think maybe even going back to when you and I first met, I found myself hanging out in Chicago more, playing with bands that were in Chicago, and that seemed to be where I just felt more comfortable and stuff. So, but
Chicago's great. I miss Chicago. I was out there for 10 years. Yeah, I had asked about moving around because that's what I did. I started music in high school, basically moved to Boise, Idaho, like kind of as a band. Mm-hmm. And I'm known to ramble and go off on tangents and stories, and I'm going to try not to.
No, do it.
Well, the Boise thing's funny because people are always like, "Why? How did you end up in Boise?" And I played music with a couple of guys in Saratoga, and none of us had plans after high school, like 0 plans. And the guitar player's brother was going to school in Boise State University for some reason, and he visited him, and he came back and was like, "Oh, it's the coolest out there. It's like sunshine all the time, and everybody's having a good time, and girls and whatever." So I'm like, "All right, cool." And so we decided, 5 of us, to move out there and start a band. 5 of us who have never actually fully all played together. We all knew each other, but we'd never sat down and played one note together.
Oh.
we found like a singer and the whole thing. And I had a good job at a radio station. I was interning there in high school, and then they hired me for the summer. So I'm like, you guys go out at the beginning of summer and I'll come out at the end of the summer. So 3 of them went out, and then me and the singer were going to come out at the end of the summer. Mm-hmm. By the time the end of summer came around, only one of the 3 was still there, and the singer decided he wasn't going to come with me. So it was just me and the guitar player whose brother was out there.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But anyway, so it was really silly.
How long were you in Boise then?
Like 3.5 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Olympia after that then, or? It
was, yeah. Some friends of mine had moved up to Olympia, and after a few years in Boise, I was like, oh, let me go try that. I really lived my life on a whim for most of my life. Yeah. And just to kind of wrap up the traveling bit of the story, I went to Olympia after Boise. Then I moved to Bennington, Vermont, small town in Vermont.
Oh, that one I didn't know. Yeah.
And then I was there for about a year, and then I moved to Chicago, and then back to New York. So,
excellent. Yeah.
Anyway, my point was that I having played in bands all that time, like, now my friends. I mean, you probably have it from touring, but I have friends everywhere. From living and touring and whatnot. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's that weird, like default setting that you have sometimes, even as like a grown adult, with like a mortgage and shit like that, where you're traveling with your family, and the first thought is like, oh, we're going to, we're going to this town. Oh, we can crash with this person there. That's no big deal. Like you have the Rolodex in your mind of quote people you can crash with.
Yeah.
And sometimes, sometimes that's awesome. Like I would never dream of, I'm, like we go to Milwaukee, or if we go to Madison, there's always people to play with or stay with or whatever. Yeah. But it's still like, it's just a weird mindset of like the first thing you think of is the people you met when you were playing music or in the worst, shittiest bars on the planet or whatever, like it's a strange kind of thing that sets your watch that way. So
yeah, for sure. Why don't we get into it? Let me before we do.
Sure.
You mentioned Chicago, and it's funny because when I moved to Olympia, I was following a couple of friends that had moved up there. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I got up there, I started playing in a band with one of the friends. And the other guy was from Chicago.
Oh,
John Olmsted, now an old friend of mine. You probably remember John.
I love that dude. He's so funny, like the driest humor ever.
Yeah. So great. But what's interesting is in Olympia, first of all, there are already a few people out there from Chicago, and actually I should clarify, from Glen Ellen, a western suburb of Chicago. And so there are already some people living out there, including the drummer was from there. And, John O's roommates were from there, and just we met a few people. But people would like come and visit as well. And so like I started to, and they would come and visit often. I would start to know more people from Chicago than I knew in Olympia because of this Glen Ellen connection.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that there are these bands too that are already out there. So I'm going to get into that. There's this band called 31 Knots.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I'm going to start with the Planet because I think that's where I want to start. So those guys are from Glen Ellen as well, and both 31 Knots and Planet were from that area and down in Portland. And so we started playing shows together, and it was awesome. Mm-hmm. Let me pull this up. Where is okay? Here's this. So I'm going to play you. So this is their last record. They haven't been around for a little while, but it's amazing. But this is early on. They were totally spastic rock. Then they morphed into this spastic like synth rock. And I'm going to just play a sample of each of them. So yeah, check this out.
Sure.
Yeah.
We have served and you love your white shirts absorb my vision.
So just awesome to play with. So much fun, right?
Yeah.
And then I wanted to play. I've been trying to get Charlie. I keep asking him why this isn't. Now you get my password and everything here.
Yeah.
There we go. The first two records are not on any of the services. I use Amazon a while ago and uploaded all of my weird, obscure stuff. So whenever it's not on like Bandcamp or Spotify, I'm like, oh, I probably have it on Amazon. Anyway, so this is the first record, and it was so much fun playing with these guys because it's so spastic but fun.
Yeah.
Team suicide, get up and let's go down to the well where Jackson Lions tell go. One step next to the right, snakes crawling backwards. All that snakes are very good at the two-step. Snakes are very good. This one I know it goes. This one is alright. This one I know it goes. No morning, that's a tell me. So now, tell me on it. No morning, that's a tell me.
Same song.
With your evening bread, feed up, bring the bag back home now. Your crops fed with your evening bread. No money,
Oh, I just love it.
That is so evocative of a time and place in the most like visceral way. I swear to God. Like, I mean, I feel like I was like, I got a flashback to being in downtown Olympia and going to that pizza place in downtown Olympia. They're like, oh my God, like that sound right there. You know, there's just a couple, there's another band from Olympia that was really, really, really not similar to that, but had a same vibe called the Automaton Adventure Series.
Oh, wow.
Had like a 7-inch in a record. That was it. 7-inch is like the most perfect thing. And it's a really kind of similar thing there. There was something in the air out there at that time, man. People were really into it.
Something in the water, Olympia.
That is so great.
Yeah, they were so much fun. I just love that band. You know, I'm gonna play just a little bit more. First of all, the sound is okay.
Oh yeah, it sounds cool on my end. I mean, I've got crappy little computer speakers, but yeah.
Because last time it didn't work out as well, but I'm glad it's good this time. And I also don't care about this. Like we talked about this beforehand, like 30 seconds or whatever. You know what? I don't give a crap. Let's just play music, and I'm gonna let stuff play as long as I want to hear it. Yeah. But I played actually the wrong song to start it off, the kind of synthy stuff. So let me show you a little bit more of this other part here, so you can get a feel for what I was talking about.
You should kill myself. I will kill yourself. Please don't kill myself. Please don't. I was on time. You read these lines before we can kill you. You should kill myself. I will kill yourself. Please don't kill myself. Please don't.
And then you see where they go, where all the craziness comes right back in there. But they're just so much fun, so amazing.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great.
So I don't want to hog this, but since I was talking about 31 Knots as well, should I just jump into that too? Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I have real good memories of that band too. So,
it's funny. So the Planet were spastic and wild, and they brought some of that to their live show too. You know, it was the music was like that, but also they were kind of like that on stage too. It was really fun. Charlie has done a bunch of spastic things in Portland, like with video, and they have like this talk show and stuff. I'll have to share some of those links later. But 31 Knots are interesting because they were this really amazing technical band, this trio, guitar, bass, and drums, and singing. and they were all really good, and they all played off of each other, and it was sort of angular, sort of almost like, I don't know why I'm like reminded of like Middle Ages or something, like just old music, you know.
Yeah.
Really interesting. But they were just, you know, they were just a band playing live, you know, and it was I loved to watch them and play with them because their music was amazing. But then I moved away, and as I was saying before, to Vermont, and then ended up back in Chicago. And then 31 Knots were on tour, and we played a show together in Chicago. And it was like almost night and day. They had taken like performance pills or something, and it was just wild. Joe Hagee, the singer and guitar player, who is normally kind of a shy guy, at least from, you know, when we hung out earlier, but he was all over the place. He was climbing on the bar and walking across the bar top and everything. Like, it was just wild, and it was so much fun, and it was such a performance. So I want to play this one song here. Let me see if it's started from the beginning, so I don't have any more of those snafus here. Oh yeah, there we go. So this is off their first record, and it's more of like what I was talking about. And again, I have to go to Amazon because the first record isn't on Bandcamp. Let me throw this up there. Is it this one? Yeah. So this song is the one that kind of reminds me of like old times or something. So play it.
Decorate the tower of ice in metal and flesh. We conclude your measurements to be correct. Oh, you noble souls, you have one task left. It's a selfless cause for the betterment. It's not that bright, it's not that bright. We call it day, but it's pretty night. It's not that bright, it's not that bright. We call it strength, but it's pretty bright out of you.
I just love it. Like I like it feels so theatrical to me. Like, you know, there's some crazy story behind all of it. And it's just amazing, right?
They really scratched an itch for me when I first heard 31 Knots, and I don't think it was that record. I think it was a record after that one. That was tapped into the part of my brain that gets super stoked on June of 44, or I guess what we would have called math rock back then, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Which I read somebody say somewhere, math rock just means you have a good drummer, but I don't know if that's
totally exactly true.
Yeah. But they were so good, and I think they were a band that their records sounded different too, like from each other. Like, it wasn't the same album all the way through, you know. So,
I'm gonna do this. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
So you mentioned math rock, and
yes.
I'm gonna jump here for a second. I used to live with these guys. Well, one of the guys in this band called Lynx.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, and they moved to Chicago from the Boston area, and they were not bashful about like their idolization of Don Caballero and stuff, and but they came onto the scene in Chicago, and it was amazing. And we used to play a bunch of shows together. We went on tour together, and I'm reminded of it because first of all, it's very much math rock, and second of all, their drummer was amazing. So great that they put him right in the front, and then the band kind of stood around him, and he playing, and just sticks would be flying and pieces, and it was just so much fun. So I'm gonna play just a minute of that, just because that's what I'm doing. I'm hogging it.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So much fun. Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. It's just wild that it's like that, you said the Don Cab connection, and then seeing where the one dude goes, right? Like,
yeah. No, it's really interesting. Yeah, exactly. Right. The Dave ended up joining up with crap, I'm forgetting his name now, but the dude from Don Cab and starting
Ian.
Battles, and Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. They were so much fun. We went on tour with them and ended up linking up with Oxes for a few shows as well.
Whoa.
Yeah, and what was I going to do? My buddy, when we were in Farm Team and we were on tour with them, my buddy, actually, hang on, where the heck would I find this? History, because I was just watching this. Had a video camera, and we recorded like so much stuff on tour. It was amazing. Where's my watch history? Yeah, this is it. And he started to go through some of those videos, and he found this one. Let me see. Start it over. Yep. I'm totally hogging this, Ike. I'm sorry.
No, it's great.
You get me going, and I'm gonna keep going. But we played a show with them in Baltimore, right? Oxes are from Baltimore, and at Auto Bar, and it was just amazing. And we a bunch of us played. Oxes were playing last. I think Lynx actually weren't. They had left the tour at this point. And it was just Oxes and Farm Team, and we played downstairs, on the stage. And then when Oxes was supposed to play, all of a sudden we hear music upstairs. They like moved the pool table out of the way and just performed upstairs, and everybody runs up and they're freaking out, and it was so much fun. See that little text down there?
Yeah. Oh, Jim.
So much fun.
That is wild.
Yeah, it was so great.
That is well. Do you know what are these? Are these guys still playing together in a band, or have they done something else? Or
yeah, if I remember correctly, is Nat like doing like law or something? I can't remember. And then I think Chris is still in Baltimore, like doing art stuff. Because they were really, I don't know, counterculture, I guess. There was crazy stuff going on in Baltimore, the Rowdy Collective and all sorts of interesting things they were doing. Anyway, that was a whole bunch of tangents there and segues and
no, it's great. I'm into it. Yeah.
So those are fun times, and I guess we kind of went down a little bit of a math rock hole, which I didn't plan on, but that was fun.
That's fantastic. You know.
So you
I mean,
said, what? Go ahead.
I was saying, but there was a time when, you know, when touring in the late 90s or early 2000s, you know, I've probably said this a million times before, but where everybody sounded like a math rock band for a minute there, right? Like everybody had just, you know, like the hard starts and stops and the cymbal grabs and everything. And it was just so prevalent. And then or they sounded like Unwound, like either math rock or Unwound.
Yep.
And then the next time you come through, everybody sounded like a garage band, you know, like it was kind of wild, like just like, oh my God, everyone, you know, like, yeah, probably a broken record, but everybody kind of looks like a Romulan and they all sound like a garage band now. Like, it's just crazy, you know, like what the fuck, you know? So, I mean, you feel out of time or out of space sometimes if you didn't fit into those sort of molds in some ways.
My bands never fit into any of the mold. It's so funny. We were in Olympia and we were like the opposite of like Olympia bands. I mean, we were just, you know, four dudes who whatever, whereas Olympia was like ultra cool. And, you know, I used to hang out with Unwound and Carp and Fitz and all those amazing bands, but we still felt like weirdos, you know, out of place there. It was really strange.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny, right? You tour, your kind of schedule lines up, and then you're like, oh, this is a new phase in rock music over here and wherever, and seeing going through evolutions.
It's weird, and you get to another part of the country, and every band you play with has two singers, where one of them is singing and the other one is screaming. Like it was just so wild to see all of that happen in real time. You know, like oh boy, okay, so I guess this is just the way this is going to be for a while or something.
Yeah. What's interesting about Boise was, and I don't know if I said this earlier, but Boise was probably my favorite music scene. I mean, I guess it maybe rivals Chicago because Chicago was really great too. But it was interesting there because it was a small city, and but we had a bunch of clubs and we had a bunch of bands, but like they were all different bands. I mean, we played with a metal band. You know, we used to play with these two guys who were like, they played classical guitar, but they played them like, you know, heavy metal style, but they would play like Cat Stevens covers. It was just like mind blowing. We ended up having one of the guys join our band as singer, but like, you know, Built to Spill and Caustic Resin and, you know, just like amazing, really amazing, tight knits, you know, everybody helping each other music scene. My buddies ran the All Ages Club, but when they were on tour, I would run the All Ages Club. And I remember pulling people off of the stage speakers and stuff and trying to manage this like crazy little club. It was so much fun.
Totally.
Yeah, Boise was amazing. Really.
I love that town. That was one of our favorite places to play too. I think we played there 3 or 4 times, and every time was memorable and weird. Or I ate at Del Taco and got food poisoning.
Yeah, we probably have, strangely enough, I'm sure we have mutual friends there, right? You know, Jeremy, you know, from Fort Hazel and stuff, and Ryan from System and Station, and you know, he moved up to Madison at some point. Now he's back in Portland. It's a small world, right? I mean, it's really strange.
Completely, yeah.
So I've been hogging though. Let's get into one of your picks here. What do you want to start with?
Oh, you know what? I'd like to start with let's start with Photo Curio from Chicago. I mean, they were a 4-piece for a while. Now they're a 3-piece, and I love their music very much. It didn't, you know, like you said, going back to whom you knew at certain points or names you knew, you know, back in the 90s and early 2000s, there's vibrant like message board communities and things like that. And I remember being in the student union at my college in North Dakota and checking the Silkworm message board a lot, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then years later, you meet somebody. In this case, it's a person named Melissa Scales. And you're just like, oh, that's right. This is an OG Silkworm fan, you know. So you have that sort of little intro, and then the next step is like, oh, it turns out you're just the most lovely, amazing human being on the planet. Okay, and then the third step is, oh my God, your band is amazing, you know. This band, Photo Curio, they're just so they make really beautiful, delicate music. You know, it has a little bite to it. I think it tapped into the part of me that really fell hard for Yola Tango records right when Painful came out. That's when I got my first Yola Tango tape. And when I heard Photocurio for the first time, I think it kind of got into that part of my brain that really, of that type of music, which is not too far from the Feelies and isn't too far from, Young Marble Giants and Raincoats sometimes. So for me, it was I just instantly loved their music, and it just it doesn't hurt that they're just like the sweetest people on the planet. Like if I could tour forever with a band, I think we would pick these guys just because everybody is just so chill and like when we're all hanging out, I'm the least chill of them all. So I really
good music is great, but good music by nice people is even better, I think. Right?
Oh, it really is, absolutely. So here's Photocurio.
All right.
Smush a brain apple up my eye. Lost a flip-flop in a cow pie. Re, mi, fa, sol, ti, do.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, just briefly, this is, probably, again, stuff I've said a million times, but, years ago, we got invited to play a festival that you put on, or you guys put on, the Outshow Festival, right?
Yeah.
And that, as you know, I kind of metastasized into this other type of festival that people now do all over the country and stuff, the PRF festivals. And I really love that. And there are a lot of friends. I mean, I think everybody here that we're going to talk about is pretty similar to that. But, when you hear dudes yelling at you all day long and they're like, or whatever, noisy rock.
Yeah.
When a band gets on stage and they're making this like truly beautiful noise, like Photocurio, it can really feel like a cold shower on the hottest day of the summer. You know what I mean? Like, it just is like, oh my God, what a breath of fresh air from this white man yelling at me, like to this other.
It's so true. But it's interesting because I hear that. And what strikes me is, three people making pretty stripped down music, but yet I'm so drawn in and I'm entertained. It sounds great, and I like the voices and everything. It sounds really cool. But I'm also maybe this is the songwriter aspect of me, but I'm trying to take it apart in my head. Oh, that bass line and the vocals are kind of doing something right there, and it's pulls that part together. And I'm of course I'm always thinking I'd love to start a band like this. This is awesome.
Yeah. Totally. I agree. I find them incredibly inspiring. Melissa uses the glockenspiel once in a while, and I don't think it's any great surprise that after seeing Photocurio play a bunch of times and playing shows with them, I picked up a glockenspiel myself, and now I force it on every recording I make. I really think it's a one-to-one thing there, and I just really dig hanging out with them. But their records are just cool. The other thing, this is an aesthetic thing, but aesthetics matter, right? In a certain way. They have these perfect little releases. They put out 10-inch records.
Oh, I love 10 inches. I would love to be in a band that only released 10-inch records. That's my dream.
Absolutely.
Go on.
No, it's the perfect medium, right? I mean, they just fucking look cool.
Yeah.
There's 4 or 5 songs on, a couple songs each side, 45 RPM. It sounds so good. I don't know who presses their albums. I mean, I know the guy who's got the record label. It's a wonderful dude named Robert, but I don't know who actually presses it, but their vinyl is really thick. Like Photo Curio records are these like thick, nice, awesome, beautiful
180
pieces.
gram? Like, is it bigger than that even or something? I don't know.
No, they feel like they're like 180 gram type things, and their packaging is pristine. Like their aesthetic approach,
Yeah.
they're like kind of a direct hit, like that type of thing. So.
Yeah. I wonder, yeah, it gets me thinking about like labels and releasing music and, like I want 180 gram vinyl 10 inches. Please help me put this out.
Yeah.
But I'm curious because I mentioned this a moment ago. I do find myself so often, probably multiple times a day, thinking, "Oh, I want to start a band like that." Do you do that too, Ike? Is that just me?
No, I do. I only usually in one mode or one thing, and that is, the older I'm getting, the more I'm getting into drone music and very really the songs I write for Out or for a couple other bands, I write short songs like 2-minute long songs or whatever. But the more I'm drawn to music of bands I want to start a band that plays for 2 hours and doesn't change key, like that kind of thing. For some reason, I'm constantly drawn to that type of thing, or the drummer who plays the same drum beat for 25 minutes or something. Those are things that I'm really drawn to. So
I appreciate that as well, and especially when I'm jamming with somebody new or something, I'm like, I could play something for an hour and like let's explore. But when you say drone, are you the first thing that comes to mind is like Doom drone? But you're not talking about that, or are you talking about something different? Or
I mean, that could be part of it too. I'm in a group here. It's the Kalamazoo Drone Society. That's here in Kalamazoo, obviously, and we try to play the third or the last Sunday of every month. We try to perform for ourselves, not for anybody else. Although we're going to be playing a show in August outside.
Cool.
And there, I mean, it's taken on all forms. People use little toys. Some guy hooks a computer up to an amplifier and does crazy things. I put contact mics myself on like Coca-Cola bottles and blow into it and hit it. I mean, we do all sorts of different things. So I think it's just sort of free. And every once in a while, like this thing will happen where everybody is completely locked into what we're doing. And it's pretty amazing. And our pieces last usually between 15 minutes and 35 minutes or 40 minutes. And we try and do like 4 in an afternoon.
Wow.
And it's been really, really, really like, it's been like really freeing and lovely. And it's more complicated for me than playing, rock music in some ways too, because you have to listen, like you have to, you really have to listen to what another person's doing. So you don't A, step on their toes, or B, overdo something, or you need to make your own presence felt too, so.
Yeah, that's interesting. You really have to be there. You have to be in the moment and like really tuned in.
Oh yeah, totally. So,
and even then, you still got to figure out what am I going to do?
I've mic'd this cactus. What am I going to do with it now? Like
use it like a thumb piano. Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of, and some of this is, we're kind of riffing here, and I'm going to see if I can pull this up while I'm talking. I've been practicing it, like talking and typing and searching as I go. Oh, that was it. There it is. So some friends of mine are in this band called Black Magic Forest.
Okay.
It's spelled all weird. But a couple of the guys is 2 of the guys is they're from a band called Knock Yourself Out, which they're great kind of Stooges style band from Beacon, New York. Just so much fun, sort of Detroit punk stuff. But the lead person in this band, Black Magic Forest, is Curtis Harvey. You recognize that name?
Is that from Rex?
From Pullman?
Pullman, and I thought maybe he or his brother had a connection to the band Rex, but I know his name from Pullman for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the Rex part, but that I could imagine that being true because he's done a bunch of stuff. Anyway, he's up in Beacon now too, and doing this Black Magic Forest thing. I'm trying to find. Let's see if I can find one of their videos. Yeah, here. I'll pull this one up. Where do I kind of just get into it a little bit here. Jump ahead here.
I think this is the dude from Rex.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. Hang on, how do I pause this? So yeah, I have to, off on a tangent here, but I'm reminded a little bit of it from the droning aspect and the performance part of it. It just like kind of goes and goes slowly, and you get somewhere, and it's really fun.
That was great. Where do they have records as well, or?
I don't know. The only place I can find them is on Facebook. So and it should be a pretty searchable term here, as you can see on the screen. Let me see if they're anywhere else. Yeah, I remember searching before. And the only thing that comes up is some of their random shows and Facebook. So I don't know. I'll have to call Curtis and ask him what's going on. I want to invite him to play the Street Fest that we're putting on. So
yeah. Oh God, that'd be great.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'll stay tuned for that one.
Excellent.
Yeah. So cool. What else do we want to talk about?
Well, I'll talk about a local band here. Well, so they're not a band currently. I mean, I think that they'll probably get together again and make a record at some point. But for a couple years here, there was a band in Kalamazoo called True FO. True FO. And they were one of those, like, we ended up on the same bill at a house show. I knew some of the people from I knew one of the kids from my job. He was a student of mine at my job at one point.
Cool.
But, I just know these kind of kids from around the way. And, it's to say kids, it's disingenuous. I mean, those are 25-year-old human beings, but I, didn't know what to expect. And they started playing, and it was one of these moments that you've had before too, where pretty instantly you are like completely locked into what they're doing. And then by the end of the set, you're like, oh, I'll follow you around like the Grateful Dead. Like, this is, you guys are incredible. At that time in Kalamazoo, there was a bunch of different types of bands happening. Garage rock bands, math type bands, kind of emo math type bands, and then a couple noise type things. And this to me was such a breath of fresh air when I heard True FO for the first time, and became quickly one of the few local bands that, like, on a night where I wasn't playing the show, or on a school night, I guess you could say, I would go see them if I could. You know what I mean? Like, it would be like, okay, they're playing at 8:15. I'm gonna go down there and watch this band because I really liked them a lot. So, there's this great song called Alpine. I think that's a good one. So
cool. I'll fire it up.
Cool.
Change your mind ever since I saw the album. I knew you changed your mind ever since I saw the album. It's not on the spreadsheet. Drawing closer, trying to set me free. What's that on the spreadsheet? Drawing closer, trying to set me free. Perfect place for me, yeah. roller coaster inside my home.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
they were great. They're one of those bands too. I think they only have a couple little EPs, and every time I saw them, I would probably be a creep and corner them and be like, you got to get in the studio. Like, you have to make a full length record. Like, let's figure this out. Let's figure out how to get it on vinyl. Let's do, because I just thought they were so damn good. And, young people, they're always moving around to different bands. And these guys all have projects that they do now that are all probably wildly more successful than True UFO was. But for some reason, when those four got together, that was my jam. I thought that was one of the best Kalamazoo based bands that that Kalamazoo's really ever had since I've been here, at least, so.
Yeah. Wow. Besides Wishek, of course, but,
yeah. Well, we can't all be that.
I'm just kidding. It's really interesting because it's like it's pulling from a few different places that I find really fascinating. And this isn't really my wheelhouse, although I really do like it. But like the Cure and the Smiths and stuff, and it's really interesting. I like it.
Yeah. Yep. I dig them.
Yeah, which I've been spending more time with lately. Actually, more of the Cure and Smiths and stuff. It's been fun.
Oh, fantastic! That's great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, cool. That was really good. I like it.
Excellent.
What else you got?
And then I got two left. I'll do so this is the gear shift. When I was earlier, I was saying about not wanting to be yelled at by balding white dudes, but as a balding white dude myself, I'll pick this band, which is super intense. It's a band from the UP, Upper Peninsula, called the God Eaters. And they this is another one of those bands that, like, I knew the members of the bands from other projects and this and that. And like, I think one of the kids, Jesus, he's probably 32 years old. One of the guys in the band, Dylan, was in this band in high school that old bands of mine played with up there. Like, one of which was Wishik, and one of which was a band that we have called Minutes. And so, like, we knew these kids from when they were literally 15 and 16 years old. Well, fast forward a decade, and I'm at one of these PRF events or whatever. And, these three kids get on stage and they're just like, normal UP dudes and kind of get that. And they start playing, and it is the most intense music. Like, it is absolutely no messing around, the most intense music. Then they cover like a Neil Young song from Time Fades Away. And I was just like, oh my God, like, this was mind blowing. And their records are really amazing too. I don't know what their status of this band is right now. Although I did see they're going to be playing some shows coming up, so that's good news. They're just so damn good. And this is a song, I knew this song originally as Little Sparrow, but I think it's called Of All the Places You Could Land, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, cool. Let's check it out.
Yeah, there they are.
Of all the places you could land, you landed by me. Of all the places you could land, you landed by me.
Yes. So these guys, I think I figured out, years or whatever after listening to them and seeing them play a bunch. Like, seeing them live is really where it's at. They tapped into, for me, like, when you're getting into records, when you're about our age or whatever, right? You're getting into like punk rock records. you can't avoid getting albums on SST, right? Like there's just so many bands that run SST that were so good. And I think it was around the first or second or third time I saw these guys play, I was like, this reminds me of an SST band. Like this is the intensity there and everything, you know. And then, you know, just kind of putting that stuff in that frame of mind. Obviously, they're doing their own thing, and I have no idea what their influences are other than, you know, Neil Young. They just really, really, really felt fresh and new and real to me in a way that still reminded me of this shit that I grew up with, you know, from high school on, that I really, really loved, you know. And they're just, you know, one of those things too. It doesn't hurt that they're like just the sweetest dudes, you know, and travel as a family, and you know, they're hippies, you know.
Yeah, I guess that.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine that live too, just being really like pummeling and you know, you feel it, right?
Super intense live. Yeah. They're, you know, that's from a tradition in the UP. I have to say this, there's a tradition up in the UP of a couple of different bands that are super, super, super important up there. Now there's a whole bunch of like there's a Finnish reggae band, and there's like, you know, all sorts of crazy stuff, and there's rappers up there and stuff. But there's this band from up there from Marquette called SAW, S-A-H, SAW. And SAW was a band that if you got lucky to play with them or see them up in Marquette, there would literally be like 1,000 people at every show. I mean, it would be unbelievable. The most people I've ever played to was at a SAW show when we got to open for them. It was like 1,000 people crammed in this, you know, middle school or something. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And they had an intensity about them that was similar to the God Eaters, just in intensity, not in music, just kind of the intensity of it, right? And I think that there's a lineage there, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you go from one to the other, and you can see how this sort of carries on through the ages and stuff. So
yeah, I'm tempted to pull something up there from SAW.
Yeah, they're a fantastic group. I keep hoping makes another record at some point here. Yeah, there you go. That's the room we played in too. Oh, that's the show we played with them.
What's that?
That's the show we played with them. March of 2008. That's the show we played with them. Yep.
That's hilarious. Is it just two drums and a guitar player?
Yes, and then Jesse switches to guitar once in a while too. So it's like half and half. It's two guitars and a drum, or two drums and guitar. And they were one of the loudest bands I've ever seen in my life.
Wow. Sorry, I didn't mean to play it again. It's so loud. It just keeps bursting through. Yeah,
they're so good. They were just so powerful, and very, very, very few lyrics. Like they'll have a lyric that'll be like, you know, where's the money? Where is nobody? And it'll be in the middle of like a 25-minute song. And as the lyric comes up, the entire crowd was going, where's the money? You know? Nice. It was crazy. It's like, man, the people at Woodstock singing along to Country Joe and the Fish or something, you know? It was really, really wild. And that lineage is there, you know, for the God Eaters. You can totally, and I know they would admit that too. They'd be like, oh yeah, these are our, you know, you build on the shoulders of giants that came before you, that kind of thing. Yeah, very cool. Yeah. I'm reminded, I want to interject here really quickly, of this local band here in Peekskill and New York City called Cutie. And they're so much fun. And I can't wait. I'm going to try to get them to play that festival that I mentioned earlier that Al will be at. And they're amazing. And they do bring out a good crowd. And they just play these like super short songs that are fucking just, you know, there's no cruft at all. It's just bam. Let me play a moment of that. Oh, that's great. So much fun. Oh, that's great.
they inspire us. You know, our Least Best Beast when we're writing songs, we're like, we got to be more like Cutie. Strip that back, get that part out of there. You don't need that. That's, you know, it's really funny. It's so much fun.
Oh,
Had to sneak them in there. We've got a few more minutes left. You have another band, right?
Yeah, one more. A band from Chicago, and again, too, these are our friends, right? You know, so these are dudes I have played a little music with. I bike with a couple of them. I just generally love hanging out with them. But it's a band from Chicago called Hungry Man, and they have 2 full-length records out, and I really, really love both of them. Yeah, there they are. There's my boys.
The restaurant looks familiar too.
I think that might be in Louisville, if I'm not mistaken, although I can't remember. I thought that was at one of the Louisville barbecues or something. But yeah, these guys make music that I have a difficult time describing on a lot of levels because it's music that has a lot of changes in it. There's super good rhythm section. I mean, they've had a few different bass players, but they're super, super good rhythm section. And I just really love their songs. I love their lyrics too. I mean, the song I picked was one called White Man off of their last album. And this one is, I mean, just a complete insane indictment of the just hate and anger and weird shit around, Yeah. And I love these guys live. They can be kind of cranky on stage, and I really like that,
Yeah, it's fun.
They may or may not have played, on mushrooms, and I like that, like where people kind of, and I mean, it's hard to disambiguate with these guys of like, where does friendship stop and where does like basically like a complete devotion to whatever trip they're on begin.
Yeah.
And I eagerly await hearing their new record. I mean, I think they're going to be recording it soon, and I really can't wait to hear their new album. So
cool. Let's check it out.
White devils living up to the name for a while now, and they don't want to believe in any damage they've done. White man got a bad reputation for living it up in a bad situation while bullshit rains down on the head of the people below.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't even realize Jeff and Jim and Neil and everybody. It's awesome. Good folks for sure.
Good dudes. Yeah, love their music a lot. So
yeah, very cool. So we are just about out of time, and I figure since I didn't get to play. Okay, I'm gonna take 1 minute because I don't think I played this band, and they are some friends up in Beacon, and they're really great. I'm gonna play a moment of them. They're a lot of fun. Check them out. This is Dirt Bikes. Play it. Yeah, they're great, and they should be at the Street Fest as well. I'm hoping all that comes together well. And then I'm gonna just play a little bit of this. Why not?
Woo! Oh no.
Taking steps, taking names, surrounded by submission.
So good. I love that record. I had to.
The song that Chafe wrote in an MRI.
Oh, really?
And then years later, last fall, I had to get an MRI, and they asked me if I wanted to listen to anything while I was getting it, and I listened to that record while getting an MRI. It was like through the looking glass. It was completely insane. So
that's amazing. I have to play this too because this is my favorite song, and I loved it when you guys played it live too. Yeah. So good, so good. We should do a whole episode on each other's bands. We'll save that for later.
Oh, there you go. Oh my God, yeah.
Good.
That's nice meeting you. Yeah.
Cool, Ike. Well, this was fun and not too difficult. Seems to be working out well. I've got the audio sorted, and we should do this again soon.
That'd be great. I'd love to do that. Love talking with you. So.
Yeah, same here. Cool. And with that, we will say goodbye. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Ike. Cheers.
Thank you, Joe. I hope to see you soon.
Yep, you too.